This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Movement Watches. We get it. Holiday shopping can be tough, but thanks to Movement Watches, all that gift-giving anxiety can disappear with the press of a button. The holiday shopping season's here, and with Movement, you can skip the crowds and standing in crazy lines at the mall and finally find a gift that all of the people you love will love at prices that beat the department stores. These watches make the perfect purchase for just about anyone in your life. Guy, girl, don't matter. And remember, they start at only $95. You can get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/kinda. That's MVMTWATCHES.com/kinda. Now, it's time for you to step up your watch game. Go to movementwatches.com/kinda. Join the movement today. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 95 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty, looking extra tall. I like it. And Greg Miller.
Let's cut through the bullshit. And I thought you were going to beat me to it, and I was going to be very, very upset with you. Colin looks fantastic. This shirt is making him look like an Adonis. Not right now, because now he looks like he's all small and slouchy. But like, why, Kevin? Why? Right here. Look at the definition he's getting in here.
He's getting them good defs.
Come back up a sec. Come back up just a sec. Then you can go back down. Look at the definition he's getting in here. This belly. He's looking real good. Real good.
I like the colors of the shirt. It's Gamescast colors.
It's a severed shirt.
Yeah.
Good game.
Thank you. It is a great game.
Cool dudes.
One of the great games of the year.
Looking damn good at it, too. You look good, too, Greg.
Thank you.
I want to spread the love.
Yeah. It's fine. You and I are just in our normal wear.
Yeah.
This is a good look for Colin Moriarty right now. He's looking good.
This is my hair from yesterday. I apologize.
Why didn't you shower?
Involved. It's been rough. Life.
Yeah?
Just gets in the way.
Sure.
Life would never get in the way of a shower.
What got in the way? Yeah. What got in the way of the shower or what?
Life stuff.
Your schedule just get out of whack?
No, just sad stuff.
Okay. We won't talk about it then. We won't talk about it.
It's all good. Anyways, I hope all of you are well, listening and watching this. If you didn't know, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Every week we get together to talk about video games, all the things we love about them. You can get it on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames early, or you can get it later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Either way, we appreciate and love you very much. That's pretty much all for the rigmarole. What have you guys been playing recently?
Watch Dogs 2 still. I'm addicted, and it's getting worse. It's all I want to do, Tim.
So you're playing yesterday, I saw,
yeah.
And I was asking how the single player's going.
Sure.
And you're saying you're just doing
Who the fuck
quests.
knows how the single player's going? I run around doing all the side stuff. I'm just collecting nonstop because it's just one of those things that I'm doing so well at getting the research points and unlocking the new things on my trees. Mm-hmm. Why even bother playing the game until I've done all of that? Until I've gotten every paint job, until I've gotten every piece of clothing, until I've gotten every research point. Why? I mean, how can they expect me to focus on anything in this game until I've gotten all the scout missions done where I've taken my selfie in front of everything? Point also to this whole scout selfie game taking. Where the fuck is the Bushman? I'll tell you right now, 4 o'clock any fucking day you go down there to Pier 39, he's gonna be there. Mm-hmm. But I get there and I get the little message, come back later. Like the zombies, come back later. Like the people getting married, come back later. And I'm like, I appreciate this to an extent, but I don't appreciate the fact that I've come back multiple times to these locations and they're timed. Yeah, I need, and I don't want to do the thing where I look online. I'm also thinking maybe it's as I progress. Maybe as I progress through this story, they will start popping up. But the way I see it, and this will be a time capsule for them. The way I see it, Jen leaves late Saturday night, like basically 12:01 Sunday morning. Kick her to the curb. Wake up Sunday and just play nonstop. And then I'll actually do some of these goddamn story missions and get in there, see what DeadSec's up to. Because the ones, when I do stumble into one, when I want to shake it up, as they say, and I go in there and do a little bit, because they have a nice little progression bar. When you're going to your little DeadSec app, you can see every mission you have available to you, how far you've gone in them, because they're like narrative based or whatever, which I really like. And so sometimes I'll be driving, I'll say, oh, there's that thing I was supposed to hack from forever ago for this thing. Go over there, hack it, report back to the DeadSec crew. And then they're like, all right, the next objective's over there. I'm like, great. Still looking for the donut man to go get that trophy and take my photo with him. You know what I mean? Like, I got things to do before I get on to hacking the planet with you. And then I drive by, I haven't been in that store in a while and I have a lot more money. What outfit do I need? I haven't seen this store before. What do I do there? I went to Alcatraz yesterday. Get to Alcatraz.
I've never been to Alcatraz.
That's what, really?
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the weird things about living in a city with a tourist attraction, right? Mm-hmm. I've never been up in the Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower, but it'll always be the Sears Tower to me, right?
Did they change the name of that tower?
Yeah.
Some bullshit.
Yeah, well, Sears and Roebuck not having a great 4 decades. But yeah, it's the thing, I go over to Alcatraz, I get there. For some reason, the gangs had there was a gang set up on Alcatraz that was protecting a bag of money. I knocked all these motherfuckers out and got their money and got out of there. But then I was just going. I was like, oh, there's Marin. Why not? Go over there. I ended up in Oakland at one point. I'm just bumming around and just seeing what's happening in the Bay Area.
I don't know why you'd ever want to go to Marin.
Well, because there's
Sad place
collectibles
over there.
there's research points there. You know what I mean? Originally, I bought my first set of clothes over in Marin when the game started.
Ooh,
Got
doesn't
some
sound like a good
biker
idea.
gear.
Okay.
And then I saw that one of the research points was hidden. I knew eventually I would have the ability to come back and get it. I have the ability to come back and get it. Because now, Colin, I can control the little things that lift construction workers up. Not cranes. I can control those too.
Forklifts?
Forklifts
The bucket,
as well.
the buckets.
No, not even that. It's similar to the forklift concept, but it's just it's just a scaffolding that moves up and down on its own. But cherry pickers have buckets, don't they? Doesn't matter. I'm controlling these motherfuckers.
What are those things that Bernie has at Rooster Teeth? That
Segway. Ashley.
that go up. They use them in
Gavin.
immersion.
You guys never took me to
I don't know.
He's an asshole.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It again creates all the X's going up.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot what the thing's called.
I don't remember either, but I knew one day I can control it. Now I can, so I've been running around doing that stuff.
That sounds
I'm seeing way more in San Francisco with murals and all these different things, landmarks. I've never, like you're saying, I've never actually gone to Lombard Street and fucked around on Lombard Street. I know it's there. I see it sometimes when I
there.
drive by it, but
It's really curvy.
here I am now, taking photos, jumping cars, doing
Yeah.
crazy shit with it.
Man,
I got my
video
nitrous. I'm nitrous all over the fucking city doing this stuff. Having a great time.
I like that. I appreciate that. Seems like a lot of people like the game. There's a bit of a disconnect with the whole online mode not working.
Yeah,
People
and
very upset
that's
about
what's
that.
interesting is when I was playing it, I was talking to Colin after the Gamescast last week. I started getting where it was running at like 2 frames a second and having all these issues, and it finally dawned on me a few days later. Oh, it's probably because I'm connected online, and then they put out the statement about seamless multiplayer,
no,
and
don't do it.
we've disconnected this. It'll be back one day.
Yeah.
It's been interesting because that was the thing though of I was gonna be interested to see how it reviewed and what happened, and it sucks that they have this thumbprint on it or
Catastrophic
whatever.
event, it sounds like. I mean,
But it's also a catastrophic event or catastrophic event in the same way it's not at all, right? Because like I always say about my games, like Colin always says about his, I don't need multiplayer in this.
Yeah, but I think it's catastrophic, not in terms of the individual's actual experience with it. I think
Sure.
more in terms of the game's perception, where that game needed everything it could get to succeed.
Sure.
And like any hit it gets is going to really be detrimental to it.
Yeah.
I think especially right now. Like getting, I forgot what I got for my GN, but it was something like a 6.
If 6.5 was
like
the in progress review, I don't know if they've updated
A
it.
6.5 in progress review is not good.
Yeah.
You know, for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
game that needed a 8 to be relevant to those people. Obviously, the people that want it are going to play it anyways.
Sure.
But for the game to like chart well, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it sells because already it had a lot going against it, and this
Yeah.
type of stuff can be really bad because it seems like the people that are playing it really
Really
like
like it, yeah.
So
But that's what's been interesting is the fact that we keep talking about what do reviews matter anymore, right? We had the whole Bethesda review discussion and how their new policy was going to affect games and and how we were talking about the different micro communities like this one, listening to people on Twitter and Twitch more. It seems like the IGN review I saw day one, and I haven't heard or thought about it since. Because since then, it's been, the whole thing with the vagina getting posted and that guy getting in trouble. But on top of that, then just people putting up their screenshots. And right before this, I tweeted that I just want to go play Watch Dogs. And the response I'm getting from people are, yes, only a few more work hours, this, that, and the other. They're all talking about it too. Carboni's tweeting about it.
awesome.
People are out there enjoying it.
what about you, Colin?
Not
Big
much.
Call Daddy.
The last week I've been busy with other things. So just Call of Duty, which we talked about last week. So nothing else in addition to that.
Cool.
Other things getting in the way. Big things.
Big things.
Lola?
Well, it's
She's
tiny.
tiny.
She's a small
16,
thing.
17
She's a
pounds.
small-
I mean, she's
yeah.
small, but
Formidable.
no, just the election. I've just been reading and writing and doing other things. I didn't really feel like playing games last week, so I played Call of Duty a little bit, but I've just not really been in the mood. So nothing new to add, nothing new to report this week.
See, this is where I'm at with Watch Dogs. Is I feel like I gotta dedicate time to this. I gotta nip this in the bud. I gotta get it tackled to the ground. I'm enjoying myself
Because Final
I'm
Fantasy
having a
15's
ball.
coming out.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
and I'm right after that's Persona. There's some what? No, fuck.
Aw.
No. Yeah. There are other things to play, especially like Dead Rising's on the horizon. I'm looking forward to that still too.
Well.
I'll play your Final Fantasy. The Last Guardian, but right now I have a time to focus on this. I want to try Dishonored. Everybody seems like Dishonored is great. I mean, I granted Dishonored 1 wasn't for me, but I want to do Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
The Justice.
I've been playing a little game called Pokemon Moon.
Did you catch
specifically.
them all?
Didn't catch them all. Caught a lot more than I would have ever expected myself to. Played the
That's
game.
what they say, right? Got to catch a lot more than you ever expected to. Pokemon.
That's the new 2016 model for
I
it.
gotcha.
Yeah. For some reason, it's not doing as well. I beat the game. I have about 30 hours clocked on my file.
You're a weird one. I feel like you played this game under the radar the entire time. I never knew you were. You didn't come in and talk about it. You didn't say anything to me.
I mean, it was over the course of 3 days, like
Damn.
pretty quickly. I think it was the weekend. So yeah,
that makes sense.
That's probably why.
Tim doesn't call
And
me.
I've been trying to wait and talk about it here. It was one that I wanted to get done quickly because I know that at any moment we're gonna get Final Fantasy, and I'm just like I got to be ready for that. Pokemon Sun and Moon, we've talked about it many times on this show. It's a game that I was not really looking forward to, and it wasn't until like the last couple days before we got it that I was like, huh. I started reading a lot of threads about it because things were leaking and stuff. I'm like, man, am I interested in this? Like, because now I'm getting excited now that it's a real thing. Because going into it, it's like the hype train of Pokemon games. I've been out of that for so long. Like, and everybody, a lot of people talk a lot of shit about me because I'm like a G1er when it comes to it, and it's like I love Red, Blue, Gold, Silver are my favorites. Ruby and Sapphire, great. Diamond, Pearl, pretty good. Black and White, I kind of fell out of. Black and White 2 were great, but it's like none of them have the meanings that Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver did for me. So I am that type of fan, but I played the rest of them, and X and Y included. So for me, getting to this level, I don't play competitively. I don't do any of that IV, EV training, any of that stuff. Like, that's way too deep for me. I just enjoyed playing through the game, maybe playing with my friends once, like a little bit, and call it a day. So for this to be coming out, I was like, I don't know that I need another Pokemon right now. Like X and Y years ago at this point, I played, and I thought that was the right time for me to get back into Pokemon, and it was a great time. And then they announced the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I liked the Hoenn region back in the day, but like wasn't motivated to play them again. And they came out at a time where I'm like, I don't need more Pokemon right now. And when Sun and Moon were announced, I was disappointed. And I said this on the shows where I'm like, I don't think the 3DS needs another generation of Pokemon. And this was when the Switch was still in its rumor phase.
We're still out there. We still called it an NX. Never forget.
Exactly. And for me, I'm like, all right, cool. There's all this news about Nintendo kind of having a fresh restart and going forward on that. So it felt like a weird backstep for them to have another full generation of Pokemon on the 3DS. But then now that we kind of know everything, I think it makes a little more sense because it's the 3DS. Nintendo needed something this holiday, and they had the NES Classic, but obviously they really misplanned that. So I think Pokemon is the thing that they needed to be able to make it through the holiday season. And I think that it is good enough to do that.
Oh, really?
So despite my lack of anticipation for the game, playing through it, I was like, man, all the shit that I've been talking about Pokemon in the last couple generations, like I really need to eat my words on them a bit because Nintendo has been listening, and Sun and Moon is kind of the culmination of a lot of this type of fans' problems with the game. Things like HMs taking up move spots for Pokemon and just kind of getting in the way and requiring you to have Pokemon that are just there in your party for HMs and nothing else. They got rid of that because now there's this Pokemon ride feature where you essentially have this pager and you can just call a Charizard. It's not your Charizard, but it's like Uber kind of. Charizard comes in, picks you up, takes you where you need to go, calls it a day. Or you get on the Yorkie Pokemon, like the big ass one. You can like run around and look for other items, so you don't need to use the Pokescope.
Is there
or whatever
surge
the fuck
pricing
it
for these
was.
guys?
There's no surge pricing.
Great.
It's unlimited use, and you can and you get them pretty early on too, which is great because it just feels like this game respects the fact that they know that most people playing it have played Pokemon before.
So just cut the bullshit and get you right into it.
It's cutting a lot of the bullshit, and it really kind of there's a lot of features that keep things fresh but familiar.
Yeah.
Sometimes too familiar. And I don't think this is the best Pokemon game, but it was just different enough that I'm like, man, I didn't expect I'd like it as much as I did. And I had a great time. I want to keep playing it. The post game is lacking a little bit, but has some cool features. And story wise, they did some things that I thought were really fresh. And there's no gyms in the game. And a lot of this stuff has been out there for a long time, but I haven't been reading about it. Like on Colin and Greg Live, will like top level look at a headline and make fun of stupid designs or whatever. But that was
all the tropical guys. Didn't they do a lot of tropical guys this one on?
Yes.
It was like,
the
hey, here's
Alola forms.
Exactly. Here's a Charizard and a pineapple, and they fucked, and now we got this thing.
Exactly. And that to me was one of those things where as it was happening, I'm like, all right, this is totally just pandering to the old school players. And it is. But I think that was a smart call because in addition to bringing back a lot of fan favorites and new forms, that gave the game a feeling of freshness and familiarity at the same time that I think is really necessary. For a big problem with a lot of the other generations of Pokemon is when you get in, everybody wants to see the ones that they know. Everybody wants to catch the Pikachu and whatever. So then the generations that are just all new ones, like Ruby and Sapphire were, or like X and Y were, or Black and White were, rather, you go in and there's just a whole bunch of new Pokemon that there's a bunch of grumpy people like, great, it's another bird that's not a Pidgey. It's another rat that's not a Rattata. Like, that, it gets kind of annoying.
Jobbers.
To
You got
an
all these
extent.
jobbers running
Yeah,
around.
but they're just clones of the things that aren't quite as good. Whereas this game, I think, does a really good job of giving you the ones you know, but they're different. So the Alola forms, you're still getting Vulpix, but now it's ice type instead of fire or whatever. So it's like those type of things are nice. But in addition to that, the game, even from early on, switches up what you'd expect. So everybody that's played Pokemon knows that you get the Pidgeys and Rattatas early on. In this game, you can catch ghost types, you can catch water types, fire types in the second area of the game. And I'm like, holy shit, they're really opening this up to be a different type of experience, while still giving us the old, a nice mix of new and old, so that it never felt overwhelming with new like clones, but it also didn't feel like, oh, great, it's just the same thing over and over that we're used to. Then the biggest change is that there's no gyms, and instead of gyms, there's a thing called the Island Trial Challenge or whatever. So that there's 4 different islands in the game with a couple little like side islands that don't count as full ones. And instead of it being 8 badges you go out and get and then go to the Elite Four and all that, in this game, each island has a what's called a kahuna. So they're like kind of the leader of the island, the big
This
kahuna.
is all Bell do a big kahuna, or are they all? They're all the big kahuna.
They're all each the big kahuna of
Gotcha.
the island. And from them, they have a bunch of other people on their kind of squad. They're like island squad. And you
Small
go
kahunas.
to each of the squad members, and each one of them represents a type. So with gym members, there's always been like they have their type, and their gym is, this is the rock gym or whatever. For this, it's like in the island, there'll be the fire trial or the water trial or the ice trial or whatever. And instead of just being a typical thing where you go and battle and whatever, it's always different. So in one, you're like collecting ingredients to help make a soup or some shit. In another one, you're like doing this like rhythm game style thing for the fire challenge or whatever. And it's all different stuff that end in a fight. But once you beat the fight, instead of getting a badge, you get a Z crystal. And the Z crystals allow you to use the new Z moves that they have, which are essentially final smashes. So in Smash Brothers, you get the smash ball and you can unleash a super move. In this, when you use the Z move, you can use it once per battle. And once you get it from the trial challenges, you can use all the fire type Z powers or all the normal type Z powers, and you kind of go that way. And it's another new addition where it's like totally unnecessary, makes the game kind of easy, because whenever you're having a troublesome battle, you can always pull out your Z move, and it does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But it was fun to use, and it kind of mixes like Power Ranger elements into Pokemon in a way that I really enjoy.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure you do.
There's a lot of weird fucking,
Hand motions.
and shit.
Is it
making
Pidgey
the Z
doing it?
moves. No, it's you doing it.
God, that'd be awesome if
you
Pidgey
give
was like.
Yeah, no.
Pidgey's a bird, of course. Looks like a little pigeon.
Yeah.
Pidgey ain't doing that. But I liked it because, again, familiar but different. It's the same thing. You're still going and fighting people of different types and getting something from them. But the fact that it's not gyms and the fact that you are getting something that's directly affecting your gameplay felt fun and different and added to the world. And I think that's the biggest compliment I can give the game, is that I haven't been as enamored with the world that they built ever. Nostalgia aside, like this game, going into it, I was like, I don't really care for the Hawaii kind of theme that it's going with. But it's like, it really did feel like every piece of dialogue and whatever lent itself to building an atmosphere to this that wasn't the typical, like, we all love Pokemon and we all, like, there's trainers and they fight and all this stuff. But it was more like, here's how these Pokemon are, like, live together and, do different things within the Alolan, like, landscape. Like, because we live here, we do things different. Like, it's a vacation spot. Like, even your main character is vacationing from Kanto, which is the place from Red and Blue. So it's like, every single decision they made is very much geared towards, hey, like, we get that we've done the same thing a million times. We're going to try to make it different enough to keep it enjoyable. And they did the entire way through. The story was predictable, but different. So that's good. There is a Team Rocket-esque thing, but they're Team Skull, and it's a total parody of itself. Like, they are never seen as a threat. Like they're just there, and every time they come up, like two characters will be having a conversation. They come to like steal shit, and the two characters like literally don't even pay attention to them because they're just that much of a joke. And I liked that because it kind of just gives people a bit more the credit that they deserve to be playing these games. That they get it, they know. Having said that, it doesn't go quite far enough to like totally win me over and like this is an adult Pokemon game because it is still a kid's game. So that is great for the kids, but it's
For
not.
the big, beautiful kids. Here's what I want to know. Missed opportunities if these aren't touched on. Nintendo usually good with the localization. Putting in here, we're going to have some kind of funny thing in there, right? Are there any references to a cursed Tiki idol? From the Brady Bunch, of course.
I mean, there is cursed Tiki idols, yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. And then number 2, is there any reference in any way, I don't know how they would do this, but to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the most famous Hawaiian man ever?
Johnny Tsunami is the most famous Hawaiian man.
Pretty sure Barack Obama is actually the most famous Hawaiian man ever.
Dwayne Johnson was just voted sexiest man alive and is a multiple WWE champion. Barack Obama's mattered for 8 years and he ain't going to matter much longer.
First black president and elected in 2 landslide victories.
But The Rock, Colin.
People's champ.
The people's champion. Remember when he was the corporate champion too? Oh man, did he stab us in the back. But then he came back around eventually. Remember that Hulk Hogan match he had? WrestleMania X7, I believe? That was maybe it was 20 actually.
It was
20?
X9.
Was it X9?
19.
Okay.
19.
That was a hell of a
It was
match.
18
though.
and 19.
The only downside, of course, to this match, Colin, is the fact that it was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And then he came back in the red and yellow later on.
The handshake, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great match.
That he got invited to the family barbecue at the end of 5. It was a good
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, he's in Fast and Furious too, if you didn't know that too. He's got a new animated film coming out too. It's got some kind of Samoan vibe
That's
to
enough.
it too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, the game's great. Another issue I have with it is that it is unfortunately trapped on the 3DS, and I haven't had too many issues with 3DS games not being able to keep up with stuff.
Sure.
This game, man. So they got rid of triple battles. They had an X and Y, and they also got rid of the horde things where a bunch of random wild Pokemon would fight you at once, which I liked because you can get a lot of experience from that quickly. This game, anytime there's more than 2 Pokemon on screen, holy hell, I have not seen slowdown like this.
Chug.
It's so chuggy and it's just so shitty.
What does that tell
looking.
you?
And it's just that I know they're planning some
Switch
shit.
gonna give it to you.
The Switch, but there's a battle royale mode is what it's called, where there is 4 trainers each throwing out a Pokemon, and all 4 of them fight together. And it's kind of like more of a mini game than an actual core piece of the game. And it's cool and it's a fun idea, but it's unplayable because of how chuggy it is. And this game made the decision to have the trainers on screen at all time. So before we would just see the 2 Pokemon. Now it's always the trainers with their Pokemon. So there's always 4 characters, even in a one-on-one match, which I guess aesthetically looks cool, but like, man, it causes a lot of slowdown.
Performance-wise,
Yeah. And the good news is the chugginess doesn't affect the gameplay because your screen text and stuff still coming up at the same rate. It's just kind of annoying to see like camera moves and stuff and like them just like moving super slow doing moves. It just looks kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And also being on the 3DS, like the art style of the game is really good, and Pokemon's always had a real nice aesthetic. And seeing it in 3D, it's really impressive, and the areas are very well thought out. But man, it just looks so smudged. Everything looks so smudged on the 3DS, and it's just like looking at it, I'm like, man, this is gonna look great in HD when it eventually comes to the Switch. We'd hope. But that's another thing is like I don't know if this is quite Switch caliber. Then this to me is a great final hurrah for the 3DS.
Yeah.
I had a great time with it. I definitely recommend it. I especially recommend it to people that think that they don't need a Pokemon right now. I think you will be surprised. I think you're going to have a good time with it. The Elite Four is handled in a very clever way. I like what they did with that. I'm trying to look at my notes here.
You'll catch more than you expected to catch.
Other big issues with the game is that your main character is always smiling. Like even when bad things are happening, they didn't like think about it. All the other characters are reacting or whatever, but like some horrible shit's going on. He's just fucking smiling.
He's rolling with the punches, man.
And it's weird though, because it's like, there's so much little things that were thought of that it's like, how did you miss that? Because on multiple occasions I was like, this is really out of place, and it takes me out of it. Then the Z moves are cool. And again, going back to the little things that they changed that I thought were good, the HMs being gone is freaking fantastic. TMs being able to be used by all Pokemon, was introduced a couple gens ago. I'm happy they kept that. And there's a new thing where now after you faced a Pokemon at least once, next time you face them, that species on your move list, it'll tell you what's effective and not effective, which is like, it's a little too easy because that's the type of stuff you should know. But when you're dealing with the new Alola forms of the classic ones, it was kind of nice to be reminded or like to know for the first time, oh, okay, that's what they're
It sounds
now
like all the
weak
changes they
against.
made were to get you to the fun faster and get you know what I mean? Like that information's at your fingertips, I assume, without it, right? You just have to
Exactly.
jump into menus and go dig for it, which would be annoying as hell.
Yeah, and Pokemon has always kind of had an issue where they'll add cool features and then take them out the next gen, and
Yeah.
there'll be some things that never came back. So I'm interested to see next time what they keep and what they get rid of. But this is the most refined Pokemon experience ever, and I don't think that that's always the case. I don't think that each new gen always is. But this does feel very much like the Gold and Silver did to Red and Blue if X and Y was the Red and Blue. Like it's definitely the much better version. It also reminded me of the anime in a way that the games never really did. Even Yellow version tried to or whatever. But this one, because it's on the island, reminded me of the Orange Island stuff that happened a long time ago in the show. And the other thing that I want to give a shout out to that was really cool in the beginning and then just got extremely annoying at the end is instead of horde mode, where like those hordes of the wild ones fighting you at once, there's a new thing where wild Pokemon can call in backup, and it's hilarious.
They have a giant walkie-talkie.
Because you'll be fighting one, and then like they just call their boys to come fucking jump you essentially. And it was kind of neat in the beginning, but it gets to a point where there's certain parts in the game where you're fighting like a Caterpie, like something that doesn't fucking matter. And you go to kill it, he calls in reinforcements, and another Caterpie comes. And instead of it being a bunch at once, it's one at a time. So you can kill one, but then the other one can call in backup. You can get stuck in loops that last like an hour of you just fighting these goddamn Caterpies. And there's certain times where it's like if you try to run, you can't, like it's like, oh, you can't run for whatever reason.
They've surrounded you.
They didn't,
Caterpies are inside of you.
Nintendo didn't think it through. Like that was the thing where, again, a cool function and feature, but then they just really, really poorly managed it, especially because you can't throw a Pokeball at one if there's two out there. So you need to kill one to be able to get the other. And it gets frustrating when you're trying to catch one and they keep calling backup. So you have to keep killing this motherfucker. Weird things that I hope they iron out next time. But I love the game overall. Love the difference in the little change ups from the gym leaders and stuff. There's like boss Pokemon now. Like sometimes you have to fight the Alolan forms of at the end of the trial challenges, and that's unique because it felt more like this game reminded me of Final Fantasy more than any Pokemon game ever did. So I think that's cool that they're changing things up to make it a bit more RPG-esque, but there's a long way till it gets quite there. Hopefully the Switch will bring it to us.
Don't say, I don't like switch.
No,
Switch. You can say it while you do it.
No.
Can we just keep saying the X?
No. That's topic for topic one.